Hello and welcome to Marknall Horsemanship. Here we are with Ruby, a 2-year-old American quarter horse. She's great, but she's full pedigree quarter horse filly. She's just not registered. But today is going to be Ruby's third saddling. She's been here roughly a week and a half. Is that right, Burgundy?
I don't know. I think
Roughly a week and a half, probably a little stronger than that, but not long. And we've been able to get that far with her, which is good. I like to be able to move right along with them without pushing them, and we haven't pushed Ruby. So today's her third saddling. Yesterday was her second, but we didn't video it. It was quite a boisterous day here yesterday with wind and things, and we just chose not to do a video yesterday. But I'll go ahead and get started and get her saddled for the third time, and then today we're going to, after we move her around with the saddle just a bit, we're going to go ahead and do a ground driving session with her, and I'll explain that as I go. So we're just going to get her saddled here. I like to stand these colts in the middle of the pen. I don't like to tie them. I like them to stand here nice and quiet and be saddled. Of course, with me keeping in mind that they are still green and that they could react any moment, but Ruby's a good-minded filly. I've not seen many. I've seen a few, but I've not seen a whole lot in them on the biggest picture of colts or fillies this age that would, and at this stage, that would stand as quiet as she is for the saddling. But no matter how quiet they stand, I still like to have this lead rope over my elbow right here and ready to, to grab a hold of her if I need to and get her out of the fix. So we're just going to get her cinched up here and get her moving her feet. And again, we're just going to do a simple ground driving video today and keep this kind of short, sweet, and simple and to the point. As me and my buddy Dylan like to say, we're just going to keep it simple. So now we got her cinched up here. Saddle's tight enough for now. Now I'm just going to ask her to step out and move around this pen just a little bit. She may have a hump or two, not a big deal. Like I said, Ruby is a good-minded filly. I had a man comment, and he could not believe that the first session with Ruby was her first session because she stood so quiet. And I just want to explain that. This horse here, I don't know her prior handling before the man that owns her now got her, but I do know that she was bought at a sale and brought home and turned out, and she hasn't been touched since. So to kind of add to that guy's dilemma of he was kind of doubting that was her first session because she was standing so quiet during the video. But I have seen these good-minded horses to where you get a whole lot done in a short amount of time. I don't recommend this, but I have, and let me repeat that, I don't recommend this, but I have taken quiet fillies like her or colts, whatever they may be, and I've got them saddled and ridden in the first session of their life of being with me. And that's cool and all, it's kind of fun to think, they only been here an hour and a half, and I've already got them saddled and been riding them. But there's so many gaps that are missing there. I always do go back and crawl and put bridges in to fill those gaps, and so I highly recommend doing it. But I'm just making a point that there are good-minded bred horses that will make you think that they've been messed with a whole lot. And I think people get in trouble there because they go too fast with them and they end up getting in a wreck. So, because some kind of reaction will eventually happen. So we're just going to cinch her up again here and move her out a little bit more. I'm not going to do much of moving her around. She's pretty settled with this saddle. And like I've said in other videos, it doesn't matter. Every time I start videoing, the traffic starts coming. So that's okay. That's the male lady, we gotta have a male. So but just making a point. So I'll just move her out again right here just a little bit, just to help her get this hump out of the back. Ask her to, I always like to ask them to lope a little bit. Right there, that's nice. She got a little hump in her back. It'll settle down here in just a moment. But I encourage you folks, anyone that's wanting to start doing this for a living or doing it for yourself, I just really encourage you, no matter how quiet they are, go ahead and get them really over. When I say over, get them really comfortable with this saddle and wiring all this and the constriction of the girth. That's the main thing. It's not so much the saddle that they're reacting to as much as it is just the constriction of the girth. So get them over all that. Don't be heroes. Don't be John Wayne. And let's get these colts of mine as good as we can for their future. And let's save all the bucking fits for the rodeo. And let's get these horses nice. When I got into this, I did not get into it to prove I could ride a bucking horse. I got into this to make a living and to get these horses as quiet as I can through horsemanship, the best I can. So, and to create a nice, quiet, level-headed horse. See how I pushed that energy into her right there? And she had a little reaction. So, I like to let them trot around in here. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. But as I'm starting to ask her to yield, I will start asking her to go. In other words, when I'm getting ready to change positions with her, or transitions, she's going to the left right now. When I get ready to ask her to go to the right, as I start asking her to yield, I'm going to start putting pressure on her. And that puts energy into her, and it teaches her to control that energy. So right here, I'm going to ask her to move. Right there. And teaches Philly how to bunch up, collect all that energy up, and really put a lot of energy into what she's doing. Now right here, we'll ask her to do the same thing. As I start to yield her, I'll start asking her for more. So we'll put a little bit of pizzazz in it here. I'll start asking now. Right there. She kind of got in that corner over there and got stuck for a second, but that's okay. So why are you doing that, Mark? Well, I'm glad you asked. I like to do that, like I said, to put energy into them, and that way it tells me if there's any, for a lack of better terms, any junk in them. You know, they might have a little bit of junk in them for the day. Now, she's blowing now. It's getting a little bit of that energy out. We'll start asking right here again for more. And it really teaches these things how to, and that they can. See, they don't know they can do it. But it really teaches these young horses how to, and that they can collect up, distribute all their weight on their hindquarters, and use it to come out of there. Hey, that's the whole idea of a working horse. Is to teach them, here, I didn't like that, right there. Is to teach them how to, what I call, load up on their hindquarters. That's where all the power comes from, is their hindquarters. You know, that's where the buck comes from, that's where the rear comes from, that's where the trot comes from. They push off, they drive off from their hindquarters. So I'm a hindquarter man. You know, I've even had people ask me, say, hey, I'll just put front shoes on my horse and leave the back shoes off. Can't stand that idea. I'm sorry, because my job is to get these horses as quick as I can to learn how to collect up and load up on their hindquarter. Well, if I'm asking them to put all their weight on their hindquarter, or most of their weight on their hindquarter, then I personally would like that hind foot protected. Now, I don't do that. I don't put shoes on the back and leave them barefooted up front. But I'm saying, in that kind of way of thinking, if I were only going to put 2 shoes on a horse, it would probably be the back 2. And I'd leave them barefoot up front, because I'm wanting them to distribute all that weight behind. So if they're going to get sore, now listen, I don't want none of them to get sore, so don't send me any nasty comments about I sore horses up. I don't mean that. But if a horse were to get sore, in that scenario of only 2 shoes being on the horse, then I'd rather them get a little tender up front, because then they're going to rock their weight back. Don't read into that too much. I'm not trying to get them sore. I'm making a point. So by putting all the weight on the hind quarter, I'm teaching this horse how to be a working horse. Everything that they do on a ranch, and I don't use them for ranch horses, but I would like to think that that's where I'm going with this. You know, that's what my goal is. If someone was going to leave a horse with me long enough, most of the time they don't get left with me long enough, but if I was going to have a horse be left with me long enough, then that would be the goal that I would be trying to achieve, is a using type horse. I didn't say a reining horse, a cutting horse, a working cow horse. I didn't say any of that. I said a using horse, something that you can go out here, you can trail ride, you can pull brush with it if you want to. I've used horses to pull brush. I've stacked brush on ropes before and gathered it up like a lariat, you know, like you would a lariat, and dally it up to the horn. And I've pulled brush to brush piles before with horses, with one particular horse. But I'm just saying a using horse, something that you can use. So if I'm trying to create that, and I'm in a working condition situation where I'm in a pen with a horse or with cattle, then I need that horse to really learn how to load up on his hind quarter. So by doing what I was just doing, let me take you through it again, and then we're going to get the ground driving ropes out and go on with this. But I'm teaching this horse right here to suck back, what I call suck back, and drive into that, and plant them hindquarters in the ground and up and under her, and learn how to move this front end over freely. Not with labor, but freely. The only way we're going to move these shoulders over is if all their weight's off of them. I mean, it makes a whole lot of sense if you think about it. So right here, I'm going to start asking it to go forward, but I'm going to hold her head. Now just watch. See how she's already learning to suck back a little bit. Do it one more time here. Hind quarter, right there. Ooh, that was a good one. She really loaded up on that hind quarter. So that's the reason I like to do that. So it's not rocket science. It's not something I'm trying to get famous for. It's just something that I like to do, and I like to point it out. So we're going to get started with some ground driving lesson here. Not going to drag it out. Just tell you real quick, the reason I like to ground drive is I can desensitize. It teaches these horses that something around the rump is not a big deal, because I'm going to have one rope around the rump and one rope over here, and then when I turn them, it'll be the opposite of that. And I can also flip these stirrups out a little bit like that right there as I'm going around, and it's just another desensitizing thing for me. And a lot of people use them to teach a horse to guide. I don't necessarily use it for that, because I can't release like you can on the ground, like right there. I'm asking her to give to that, and I can release. But if I was back here with a set of ground driving lines, I can't do it. Can't hardly do it at all. So I don't really teach them to give to pressure or to guide. I mostly do it to see how they handle things before I start riding them, because she's not far off from her first ride. So I'll go over here and get them. It's a rather warm day here in Royal Retreat, Virginia. It's a nice day. The sun's out. We've got some family to go see this evening. We're just trying to get these chores done and make sure all the horses are worked and all of them are happy for today before we take off. But we're looking forward to seeing my aunt. You know, I don't know if any of y'all watching remembered or know it, but my mom had just recently passed away a few weeks ago, and she's got a twin sister, and she looks, well, they're identical twins. They look just alike, and we're going to go over and see her this afternoon or this evening. Her and her husband and her daughter, my cousin. So we've got a little bit of a fun evening lined up here to go see family, and it's just a beautiful day. God's good, and just want to bask in his goodness today and have a good time. So I love him, don't you? I hope you do. And I hope that if you're out there and you're lost and undone and you haven't given your heart to him, I hope you do that pretty quickly, because times are running out. Jesus is coming. I believe that wholeheartedly. And who's he coming for? He's coming for the church. Well, who's that? That's anybody that is born again, that has got their sins covered by the blood of Jesus Christ, and that's who he's coming for. And I do believe it's sooner than later, and you can take that if you want to, but I would prefer that you did take it and take heed to it. So anyway, so here we go. First time ground driving her. Sometimes they like to kick out behind, and these ropes being around her hindquarters, so you need to be careful. I like to get out here and get in position to where she did kick. I couldn't get hit. You can see she's confused. Now let's talk about this. See this look in her eye and that confusion right there? You see, that's what these colts do, or these young horses do when you first get on them. They don't know how to drive forward. Think about it. I'm behind her right now. And when I'm on her back, I'm going to be behind her as well, because I'm behind her eye. Anything behind their eye to them is behind them. So this right here is a good way of teaching these horses to drive forward. Now it don't ride over too much when you get into the saddle. They still are a little bit confused when you first get up there. But I think it gets the ball rolling just a little bit on being able to drive them forward. Think about the term, ground driving. You're driving them forward. So right here, we're just going to teach her to drive forward, just like I would. I'd be encouraging her if I was riding her, trying to teach her what? To step forward. So in a nutshell, it's kind of the introduction to being ridden, if you want the truth about it. Because another thing that you want to look at and take into consideration is when they change directions, they're seeing you out of both eyes, and you're kind of behind them. So it kind of gets them used to seeing you there. So this is the reason why I like the ground drive. It's not for guiding purposes, but it's for desensitization and just overall getting them used to things. So look here, I can take this stirrup, and I can flip that stirrup out with it right there, and really get this little filly used to seeing things out of her eye. She's a nice little filly. I think we're going to be able to move right along with her and not put too much pressure on her, but move right along with her and get a lot done in 30 days on her. And she'll probably go home and be a horse for 4 or 5 months, maybe a little less, and come back and go for another round. So right here, I'm going to put a little pressure, and I'm going to drive it forward right there. That's good. It don't hurt to get them a little bit juiced up there. So right here, same thing. We'll kind of desensitize with that stirrup just a little bit. She's seeing me out of both eyes. I've actually been ground driving horses for as long as I've been doing it. I don't think I have ever not put it into my program with a horse. It's a pretty cool thing. I mean, you could get it done without doing it, but I just prefer to do it. So right here, I'm going to step out in this eye, put a little pressure right there. See, it caused a little spark there, and that's okay. That's why we're doing this, to get her used to it. So I'm going to step out in front of this eye right here and hold that head at the same time. Look at that. Listen to what I'm saying. If you want to get this done a little smoother, then don't forget to step in this eye while you hold the other side. Watch right here. Step in this eye. Look at there. Uh-oh. Got it under her tail that time. That's all right. We got it out. So she kind of bucked up there and got that thing under her tail. Kind of had a yeehaw moment. Gonna step in this eye. See, that's why we're doing this. Gonna get this silly out of her before I get up there on her. Not today, just saying. So I'm gonna step in front of this eye. Right there, good. So we'll get that a little smoother before I quit, and then we'll quit. All right, every good horseman knows when to quit. We'll step in front of this eye. Right there, good. Step in front of this eye. That's good, look at there. Nice. Whole lot better. Now we'll just let her walk. Take a big deep breath. Let her know all the pressure is off of her. Do want her to walk though. I do want her to walk. Getting a little confused there. Right there. That's good. So I'll just twist and turn here for another minute or two, and we'll be done. I think it's a good session. Kind of do a little pattern right here, come across the middle. Turn her in the middle right here. Kind of do a figure 8 right here. Right here she's getting a little bit beside herself. I got in front of that eye a little bit. That was a little bit of my fault. But that's okay. Just get her walking around. We don't ever want to quit them when they're confused. Just wait for her to get a little bit more understanding, solid in her understanding before I quit her. She's got a better look in her face now. She don't look like she's confused. I think I'm gonna pull her up right here. Ooh. Go over here and pet her a little bit. I always like to get this rope down first, because that way I can, if she was to get a little bothered or something, I can control her. So we'll get these ropes rolled up. I like to show that because I don't hesitate. I just go to pulling these ropes through their legs, and you know they need to get used to all this. And I get a little bit loud about it at times. You know, I don't sneak around. In other words, we'll put that right there. You know, they need to get used to all this stuff. Let me tell you, the more you sneak around these horses, and I think I can safely use this word and it be correct, but the more you make these things weird, the more you creep around them and ease around them and things of that nature, the more weirder that the horse gets. And I don't blame them. If somebody was walking up to me with that creepy, sneaky look, I may draw back and punch him. No, I'm just kidding. But it would creep me out a little bit. So the more you sneak around them, the more they act funny. Just a minute. And then, but anyway, I just want to encourage y'all to continue watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget we have a YouTube channel. If you haven't went on there and subscribed, I encourage you to do so if you would, please. And we appreciate you watching. And stay tuned for more progress with Ruby. And we'll try to keep her videos coming a little bit more frequently, because we're kind of rolling on with her a little bit. And she's the kind that will make a bad trainer look good. I'll be honest with you. I have to give all the credit to the horse sometimes, because without a good-minded horse, there wouldn't be any good horsemen or horsewomen. So thank you for watching, and God bless you.